What's up guys, in this video we're going to be going over how to train your lower body to get a faster and more explosive full approach in your javelin throw.
That's what we're talking about! Come on! Let's go!
Your approach starts from the ground up, so if your feet are weak, you're not going to be fast or explosive. You need to be running, jumping, and bounding in order to build the arches of your feet, your Achilles tendon, and your calves. This will directly correlate to your ability to run and jump, which will help your approach be faster and more explosive. Step one is to train your feet through barefoot pogos, which will allow you to be bouncier and more elastic. Then from there, we will progress to jumping, also known as plyometrics. Jumping for the lower body directly correlates to your ability to produce and absorb force. Once we complete jumping, we will move on to bounding. Bounding is that halfway point between jumping and running that will really help take your approach to the next level. And lastly, we need to be running. Javelin throwers need to be fast and agile to be able to move down the runway at high speeds and be able to accelerate through the end of their throw. All of these will directly correlate to your ability to be faster and more explosive down the runway. It's essential that we have strong feet. And the way we're gonna do that is by training with barefoot pogo hops. Having strong feet is essential to building the elasticity in our running and jumping capacity, which directly translates to our full approach. By training barefoot, we're allowing our feet to get stronger arches, stronger Achilles tendon, and stronger calves, which are allowing us to be faster and more explosive down the runway. Mobility in your lower body is essential for faster and more explosive crossovers. Without mobile hips, it will be very strenuous to get your knees up, and getting your knees up is essential to gain speed and power in your crossovers. The first mobility exercise we're going to be doing is the 90-90 exploration. So what that is we're going to get our front leg in a 90-degree angle, back leg in a 90-degree angle. We're just going to sit like this, upright with the torso, try to get our hips and pelvis level, chest facing forward, and then the exploration piece is we are going to lean forward, try to touch our head to our knee, come up. We're going to rotate inward here. Should feel a little bit of a pinch right here on this hip. Rotate back to the front. Then we're going to lift our back hip up and down. All right, we're gonna relax there. You might feel this back hip starting to cramp up a little bit. Then we'll lift up one more time. We'll go in and out with the hip there. And then once we're done with each side, we can go into a 90-90 switch right here. So if you're advanced, you can keep your hands up off the ground. But if it's really difficult, you could lean back and use your hands for support, just like this. The next mobility exercise we're gonna do is to stretch out the glute and our QL here, and that's going to be pigeon stretch, okay? So before I get into it, I like to really twist my back here, get my spine nice and loose, and then we try to go forehead to the knee, and if you're really advanced, you can go forehead to the foot. If you can't quite get there yet, try to aim for the middle of your shin here, just like that. So with this back foot too, we want to make sure that our knee and our foot are rolled completely under so that we're forward, okay? Because you don't want to be open like this, because then you're kind of cheating the process a little bit, because it's already easier to aim towards your foot. So really make sure that back leg is fully rotated forward like this, and then you'll go down. All right, next we got the side split push-up. So we're gonna go down into a side split as far as we can go. Then we're gonna walk our hands out, do a push-up, try to feel the groin flat on the ground, push back up, and then walk it back. And then from there, you could go directly into the frog pose like this. With the frog pose, we'll start by holding it and applying some pressure going backwards. And then we could start rocking into it forward and back, trying to spread our groin, almost to try to get our pelvis to the floor. And then from there, we'll do some external rotation lifts with our foot to try to get even a deeper groin stretch here. All right, now we're gonna go with hip lifts. So what I'm gonna do is keep my feet out in front of me, toes pointed towards me, okay? What that's gonna do is we're gonna feel a slight contraction here in the psoas, the hip flexor, and then we're going to pulse up and down, okay? And then we're gonna rotate out and pulse up and down there. And then we're gonna rotate in and pulse up and down there, okay? Then we'll switch to the other leg, and then we'll work our way out and do the same 3 movements there, okay? We'll work our way back out again. And it gets harder each time you move outwards. Switching to the strength component, it is essential that we lengthen and strengthen our psoas, okay? 2 of my favorite exercises for strengthening the psoas, otherwise known as the hip flexor, is the psoas hold with a band and the kettlebell hip lift. All right, here, you're gonna put your opposite leg on an elevated surface. Put your foot in the top of the kettlebell here. Keep your toe curled so that it targets your tibialis. Then you're gonna raise your knee up to target your psoas. Okay? The big thing with this is that the elevated surface is key so that you can get full flexion at the bottom of this movement and then full extension up to the top. So with this one, you wanna keep your toe pointed to your face, bring your knee to your chest, and get a slight hold at the top. My favorite exercises to strengthen the adductors, which is essential to sweeping that back leg through during the crossover phase, is the dumbbell cossack squat and the Copenhagen dip. One of my favorite lifts to strengthen the adductors are the cossack squat. What you're gonna do is you're gonna get in this feet a little bit wider than shoulder width apart, and when we're gonna do sort of a side lunge to our left side. And as we're rotating down to the left side, our right toe is coming up off the ground and we're rotating slightly inwards, okay? The idea here is we wanna keep our butt underneath us, center of mass stacked, and our chest tall. And then we are going to raise up and switch and rotate to the other side. Another one of my favorite exercises to strengthen the adductors is the Copenhagen dip. We're basically getting into a side plank here, that bottom arm stabilizing us, that top arm on our hip, and that top leg on the bench. Keep our foot, knee, hip, and shoulder in a straight line on the top. My favorite exercises to strengthen the abductors, which is on the outside of the hip, helps raise the front leg up during the crossovers and propel us forward. My favorite exercises to strengthen the abductors are the banded abductor liftoff and the fire hydrant pulses with a band. Now moving into the abductors, the outside of our hip. This is one of my favorite exercises to work on strengthening the outside, okay? Staying stacked on that left foot, and then we're raising our right foot as high as we can. We wanna make sure that this band has no slack in it so that we're able to lift it up with some tension and also not have us fall over. Another great way to strengthen the outside of the hips is by doing a banded fire hydrant pulse. Well, that's it on how to train the lower body for a faster, more explosive full approach. Be sure to check out our video where we go over my top 10 favorite drills to improve your full approach.
That's what we're talking about.